G'day, legends, and welcome to the Thursday Sesh on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me are Willie, Dan, and Jared. How you going, Willie?
I'm going all right, Jared. Pretty busy this last couple of weeks. My project's running into the home straight now, so it's all battle stations for me at the present moment.
So you're cracking on all the time at work now. There you go. Happy days. How are you, Jared?
Good. I was just waiting for Danny Boy to be ready so we could. We're all good to go. But actually, I'm pretty crap. I was actually meant to have a gig tonight and I had to cancel it because yesterday went to get in my car, wouldn't start. So I had to cancel my gig. So I was planning on going to the gig, getting in early, and then coming and doing this. Had to cancel. So you're all just stuck with me.
So your final thought, you're just going to rattle off a few of your jokes just to get some reps. Is that about right?
No. It's actually plugging someone else's.
No, there you go. And how are you going, Dan?
Yeah, great. I've had a great day. I was fucking around with some comedian's car a little bit earlier. So I'm short in the first 90 seconds. Sorry.
Brilliant. I thought Jared was going to spit his drink out there as well, so it was perfect timing.
So perfectly timed. I'm going well. I've had a great day. Just, still recovering from the weekend and still grasping my thoughts on the derby and where it's left us in the season and keen to have a bit of a chat about a few things tonight.
Let's hope it doesn't get as heated on here as it did in our group chat.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, we had to be told to put a pipe down a couple of his. So yeah, it was
Not me.
Dan. Oh my God, Dan.
I was just waiting for a shut up Dan comment in there. She never came, so he didn't even get involved. He was on the sidelines watching, being that, you watch those videos of like people punching on in school now, and there's a group of people around him sitting going, fight. Everyone's recording. Yeah, he's doing that. Dan was doing that around the sides. Yeah, so what we'll do to start off then is I'm going to open the floor up to the three of you. I've had my say on the derby, been there, done that. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to just vent. Now, I've got on my list of notes here, Jared wants to discuss how bad we are at throw-ins. So we'll leave that till after you've discussed the derby. So I'm just letting you know. So, Willie, just give us your overall, just general thoughts on the game, the goals, and then we're going to talk about the, off the back of that, the things being thrown as well as another topic for us. So stuff like that, we'll just we'll discuss the follow-up, the fall, the whatever it is, the carry on after the game. But just talking about the game now. So over to you, Willie.
Yeah, it was. I missed the first goal. I logged in and I was a little bit behind everyone, so I decided to refresh the browser, thinking I'll just catch up. And my mate texts me to say "fuck," and I'm like, "Oh no, what's going on here?" And I just realised that it was us that had scored. I thought they'd scored, and I'm like, "Oh no!" So the head went down, and then we see Dyson made his goal, and it's like, "Oh, there we go. That's great. Good start of the game." And then we absolutely dominated them for the first half. We just sort of passed their way around them. They couldn't get near us. I mean, they were just chasing shadows that whole first half. And they had reverted to pumping in long balls against us at Sam Allardyce's teams would have been proud of. But we didn't really turn up in the second half as well as we did in the first half. John Beaton doing John Beaton things, giving them a penalty to get them back in the game. After nullifying the right side of our team by giving both players, Alistair Johnson and Kuna booking, gave them a bit of a somewhere to attack. The second half, like I say, our passing fell away, and they ended up with the bulk of possession, but we couldn't really force a shot on goal against us until about the 80th minute. So we kind of defended well enough up until a point. But for me, the Seema substitution came on. When he came on, he put the fear of death into Greg Taylor for me and just gave them an outfall to aim at. But 3 good goals we scored in the game. Any other time that would take you the points at Ibrox, but not this time. Good game for the neutrals, but can't help feeling disappointed. I said before the game that I'd be happy with a draw, and I would really settle for the draw before the game, but I kind of feel a little bit disappointed that we've walked away with just 1 point instead of all 3, which I think we probably deserved.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, Willie, because it felt like a win, like we should have won because of how dominant we were in the first half. But then, come second half, it felt like a loss because they got those late equalisers, and then so it felt kind of like a loss. But I'm gonna bring up some comments before we go to you, Jared and Dan. So we got Pete McGee saying, "I hear Silver is launching a range of swimwear." RL77 Fabio Speedo. Andrew saying our press upset them. And RL77 took 20 minutes for Beaton to give a free kick. And Pete saying Billy Beaton didn't give him a pen, Walsh did. So it was the VAR ref. I just want to bring this up before we go to you guys. So there's Fabio Silva inspecting Dens Park. I saw that one. I'm like, that's going on the pod. If I can't come up with something else for the thumbnail today, that's the one. So, yeah. Dan, I'll go to you for your thoughts on it.
Yep. Look, very similar to Willie. I thought the first half is probably one of the best 45 minutes I've seen since Rodgers came back. We looked so crisp. We moved the ball around so well. You really saw the benefit of having Reo Hatate back in the middle of the park, just the way he could pull the strings and move the ball around. The high press, you're going to slow off a little bit. It was a bit disappointing the second half, obviously, a big drop in intensity. And I don't know how much the wind played an effect in that, but it sounds like there was a fairly significant wind going pretty much up and down the pitch as we switched. So playing in and out of the wind's a little bit different, and something that our short passing game would have suited a lot more than than the long balls they were reduced to, as Willie said, sort of reminiscent of an Allardyce or even a Warnock side at some points. So if Neil Warnock is still up in the country, he was possibly very proud. Overall, Seema coming on, I think Willie said it put the fear of God into Taylor, and it certainly didn't look good. He came on and looked great. He's a class player, that Seema, and certainly caused us a lot of dramas. But again, I think we all said we'd take a draw before the game, and we would come away from Ibrox in sort of the box seat, or the advantage would be ours, and that's what we got. So, it's over to us. It's on us to win our last 6 games, and if we do that, then we're gonna win the championship. So we know what's in front of us. We've got to do it.
And Jared, what was your thoughts?
Kuhn started off slow, but he got into the game, he was fantastic. Like, he was one of our players of the game. Thing that annoyed me is he got taken off around about the same time as he normally gets taken off, which says to me that it's just pre-planned, when he was actually one of the players that was driving us forward. He was getting back. He was stealing balls off people. He was making things happen. All of his crosses were like on point. Oh, wait, you want the whole game? All right. So I thought we were brilliant in the first half. Like, I loved it. Rangers were dog rubbish.
Dog poo.
You can swear. I've already fucked it anyway. So
don't worry. 3 minutes in, and I'll put the big smoke in that.
Like, they were terrible, and I don't like to get into the whole stuff like Beaton's on their team stuff, but it was 23-10 in fouls and 4 yellow cards to 0. And the yellow card that was given against Kuhn was a borderline foul. Like, that was a 50-50 if it was a foul or not. But then he gave him a yellow card and blamed other people fouling. So now that you've fouled, you get a yellow. I was like, that was a little bit questionable to me. Maeda, I am now not a fan of Maeda, because I thought he was one of my brothers with the same sort of haircut, and then he decided that he could grow his. Where did that come from? You can't be a baldy bastard and then just grow your hair. I can't do that. So yeah, not a fan of Maeda anymore. Second half, balls. And this is where the argument started happening in our group chat. I was...
Some correlation there, possibly.
Yeah. I was not happy with Brendan Rodgers. we started just sitting back. We weren't playing out again anymore. We were just putting the ball to the other team. There was no structure. There was like everything just went to crap. We looked like a completely different team. And the thing is, Seema's coming back from injury, which means next time we play them, Seema's going to be starting. Not Wright, who was invisible the whole game. He was useless. He was like an extra Celtic player. Like they had a couple of players that were balls. Silva, like, don't hate me, but I watch CJ Nova, who is a Rangers YouTuber, because I like to get an idea from the other side on how they're thinking, and he's very neutral. He calls it how he is, and he said Silva is a bastard. He's like, we don't want him in our team. We don't want that sort of shit. So there's part of that side that don't like it, but if he was on our team, I'd be like, get rid of him right now. Which, before the game, if you had told me if we could take one person from Rangers and put him on our team, I would have said Silva. Don't know why I'm admitting that right now, but right now, holy crap, what a piece of shit that guy is. I think I'm rambling too long. All I need to say is Kuhn had a great game, shouldn't have been taken off. Second half with balls.
And bring on the punch-ons in our group chat.
I did
just a bit of passion. Just a bit of
passion. The thing with the whole group chat thing as well, and it's because I'm in plenty of them, so it's not just this one. I see these sort of little blow-ups and that here, there, and everywhere. It's a little spot fire. And the thing with those chats is there's always one person who's saying it, and it doesn't matter what you say to them. So whether it's this happened and this happened and this happened, and you give them 3 or 4 examples, nah, I'm right, doesn't matter. And there's always one person in every group chat that's blowing up that's like that. So I just find it funny. I was like, okay, I'm watching for which one's going to be the one that refuses to back down or even accept reality here. Who's it going to be? That's what I find funny.
Who was it? I don't even remember now. Who was the man of reason?
Weird thing is he's on the show right now.
Oh, damn it.
You didn't tell anyone to shut up, so there you go.
I love a good argument. Like I didn't take anything by it. I thought it was fun. I thought and we're discussing and arguing about something we both love and passionate about. Like, I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, everyone's got a different point of view, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
So
let's
bring up some comments here. Pete McGee, what we need is refs who have the balls to stick to their original decision when there's clearly been no obvious error. Andrew's saying we should have held on after the Ida goal. G'day, Remy. She's on the pod. There you go.
That's the point for me. No
Pete
reason.
McGee.
That's the key point. Once we pulled it back to 3-2, that's when you've got to see it out.
Yep. Pete McGee's, our press upsets me too, the Daily Ranger. Yep, and the Red Tops. Pete is also saying that the wind was so fierce the zombies' coins and bottles were hitting themselves in the face. We'll talk more about that a bit later. Pegleg's saying that Silva is Rangers class. 100%. Mahesh disagrees with you, Jared. He's saying, watch the second half again. Celtic did try and press. They ran out of legs. No, I didn't. I don't see it, Mahesh. I agree more with Jared than with that, but I don't know. You probably got some stats to back it up.
I'm kind of on Team Mahesh there, to be honest. I'm with you, mate. I thought they were trying. I just thought we looked gassed as fuck. And then McGregor came on and was not fit for
He's
it.
a man down for us because he's not ready. If we weren't playing Rangers, he wouldn't have been on the bench. Let's be honest.
No,
if it was any other team, McGregor wouldn't have been in there.
Yeah, the fact he didn't start, he shouldn't have been on. Like, because like I said, if he was fit, he should start. If he doesn't start, he's obviously not fit. So don't put him on.
Go on, Willie.
No, I was going to say the McGregor thing. It was just like he was put on the bench as a ruse. You know what I mean? They kind of shaped the Tom Lawrence playing would have been the man to sit on McGregor the whole way through the game and try and watch him. They were kind of expecting him to start, and he didn't, and he stayed on the bench. And I think, in hindsight, now you look at the decision to bring him on. It should have been Bernardo that came on at that point, and McGregor came on after that, possibly. But Young, for me, was the decision. They took Young on. If you wanted to go at them and try and have a go at them, then yeah, fair enough, bring Young on. But I think, again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But for me, I think when you're going to change it up on the right, it should have been James Forrest, somebody who knows what the fixture's all about. Somebody who knows what it's like to play in that atmosphere and that hostility on your back at all times. So
that's what I was about to say. There's this comment from R77. Young was like a rabbit in headlights.
Kuhn should have been taken off.
If Kuhn was going to be taken off, which I kind of agree with Jared, he probably should have been for another 10 minutes or so, at least. But if he was going to be taken off, you bring Jamesy on to bring that and hold on to things. Michael Ross is saying unnecessary bookings affected our players. Yep. So
even just to go on the point Willie was saying, and that Michael Ross point is bang on, and that's why Beaton was so quick to pull a couple of yellows out early. But Rangers set up to stop Callum McGregor. Tom Lawrence was going to be the man that sat in the middle of the park, and with no McGregor to man mark, he did jack shit. He did not. He was horrendous.
Do you want to know this? Like, the first time I noticed Tom Lawrence in the game was when he fouled the Watt in the build-up to the non-existent goal for them. And I was like, oh, there's Tom Lawrence. And then they got the pitch and scored. And I'm like, what the fuck happened there? And it's like all brought back and we get away with it. Well, we didn't get away with it. I mean, we got the foul that we would have deserved. But that was the first time I noticed Tom Lawrence in the game. And if you told me Scott Wright was playing the other day, I still wouldn't believe you right now because he was non-existent. Like. But it's the whole way through the game. Like, John Beaton, as I said at the beginning, John Beaton did John Beaton things. He booked some of our players. He nullified our right-hand side. You know what I mean? Rangers were having an absolute stinking time on their right-hand side. Tavernier got off to a horrendous start. Scott Wright was, like I say, he was non-existent. He was just a ghost on that pitch, nowhere to be seen. So they weren't getting any joy down their right. So the only way they could go was down the left. And what does John Beaton do? He puts both our players on the right-hand side of the pitch on yellows. Gives them a little bit more impetus. Like, we can attack a bit more because you know that they're not going to dive in for a challenge on you. Like, so tactical bookings.
Just to be devil's avocado, I'm going to defend John Beaton to a little bit.
Do you feel
good luck for that? Like,
on the original penalty against AJ, he ran down with aggression and put a yellow in Silva's face for diving. Because I think he didn't pick up on it, but he could tell that Silva was diving. And he went down and it looked like he was aggressively giving Silva and he was desperate to give Silva a yellow for diving. And then VAR turned it over and turned it into a penalty. Which I was kind of like, wait, why? It doesn't make sense with the 24 fouls to 10 and 4 yellow cards. I think he wanted Rangers, but he just hated Silva.
He pre-warned him twice beforehand about diving, so it's like third time's the charm. But I'll just bring up a couple of last comments here. So Pegleg saying, we lost our grip on the midfield, subs a factor. Andrew's saying, that's the kind of game we keep Forrest for. Pegleg's also, none of their players got a single booking. How many should have if it was ref fairly? How long's a piece of string, mate? And then Andrew Beaton was always going to load us up on yellows. So it's a bit of a doozy there, but I think we've gone on about it long enough now. So we'll go to you, Jared, for you wanting to discuss. I was trying not to say that. So we'll go to you, Jared, because you wanted to discuss the throw-ins.
Yeah. So this is something that's annoyed me for a while, and it stuck out in this game. Like, when you look at when Ange was here, when we played against Rangers, when Ange was here, we weren't stuffing around. As soon as the ball went out, we were like, boom, throw in. And we scored a couple of goals just because we caught them off guard. And now you look, it's kind of switched. Like, before, Rangers were like, Tav would be at right back. The ball would go out in the left wing, and they would all wait for Tav to get across the field so that he could take the throw in. And it was all disjointed. Now you look at the throw-ins by us. We're getting the throw-in, and give it to the winger, and then no one moves. Like, the guy's just like, I've got no one to throw it to. And I would love to see a percentage of throw-ins that we take that we actually get, because just on eye, it looks like 50-50 or less. And then on the other side, Rangers are now just picking up the ball and then just passing it in. They're not waiting for anyone anymore. Whoever gets to the ball first is getting it, seeing someone open, throwing the ball in. That used to be us. We've now gone flippity-floppity. And that was I felt like that was one of our strengths when we're actually playing with a bit of pace and we were catching other teams off guard. And now it's a weakness. Every time the ball went out for one of our throw-ins, I felt like, oh, we've got the throw-in. We may as well not. Like, it's going to be a turnover. And that's my rant about throw-ins. Thoughts in the comments?
I agree with you on that, Jared, because I look at it and go, you can't be offside off a throw-in. And you can't, and you're already down a man. Like, they've got one extra person on the pitch, so that's why you can't be offside. So as soon as you get it, just get it straight in. We've got guys like Maeda and Kyogo who are quick. Just get it and just long throw in behind the defence and let them run onto it. What's the worst that can happen? You don't win the ball. Their centre-backs or right back or left back goes and gets it, and then they're in a perfect position to just press the living shit out of them and win it back. So you can look at it that way. And if you're in the middle of the field, get a quick throw in. There's been times where we're standing there and we're waiting, and there's guys within, a metre this side, 4 metres the other side just there, and it's just really slow and ponderous, and there's defenders on them, and you're like, where are we going to throw this? And Andrew's saying, yeah, reason, Jared one word, Rogers.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but yes.
And no one goes to Taylor when he's taking a throw in because he moans too much.
They just turn their back on him and walk away, don't they?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot. I do that a couple of times. It's one of the things, like, I had this when I had my season ticket. There was in 2 different positions. The second one I had was in the 3rd row between the 18-yard line and the halfway line. And if you'd see someone going to take a throw in and people are walking away, you'd be roaring at them, like, give them an option. Like, and it's just something that seems to be creeping into the game more and more, or our game certainly more and more, is that they're just not going to give them the option. Like, they just try to get into their position and move away from the thrower. Like.
You know what else I find frustrating? It's like you get the ball, you hold onto it forever, and it's not just with us. It's both teams were doing on the weekend. The ball goes out. You know when you got the grass cuttings on the pitch and there's like a darker green and a lighter green in big wide stripes? You're on a dark green one where the ball goes out. You pick the ball up. You can't throw it that's on there. Next thing you know, they're taking steps up to throw, and they don't throw it. And they take more steps up to throw, and they take more. And the next thing you know, you're at this. You've gone from a dark green to a light green, and you're throwing the ball in the next dark green. So how far up the sideline are you moving? Like, I grew up playing basketball where the ball goes out, you've got to inbound it from straight there. So for me, looking at that, I just find that taking the piss.
Greg Taylor's a master at that. He'll get a throw in on the 18-yard line, and when he actually takes the throw in, he's on the halfway line. You're just sneaked up a wee bit there, Greg. Right?
And it still goes to the opposition.
Probably.
That was something like talking about the throw-ins. Like, you're talking about wanting people to throw to, and I'm looking at it going, yeah, but we're nicking an extra 20 yards, and they're doing the same deal to us, and it just drives me insane.
See the amount of foul throws you see in professional football now too. It's just you just watch it and you're like, did I actually see that? And the hands there. What are you doing?
It's become like the scrum in rugby league. Like, why is it even there?
Yeah.
Kickings. Get it.
So, Dan, you got anything to add to that topic, or should I throw you to the next one?
Throw me straight into the next one, mate. I think throw-ins have been fucking mined.
Good. So the next one is still throwing shit onto the field by the Huns. I think your topic, what you put in the group chat, I've cleaned it up a little bit, but it was Huns fans being vile creatures throwing shit onto the field. So that's me tidying up what you wrote. What needs to be done to stop this from happening, as they have a history of this happening all the time?
Absolutely. And we're at the point, I think it was JP on Axum that said, how does it fit into getting the safety certificate to open the stadium at this point? They have, and I'm not saying no other club has ever thrown things. It's fucking disgraceful when anyone does. I don't care who you follow. If a Celtic fan did it, you're an absolute pillock. Piss off. But even you talk about, it was a few weeks ago, I think it was someone at Hibs threw a meat pie at Shanklin, and we're all like, it was very funny. But it was also like a corkscrew and a bottle opener thrown at him. Like,
and a razor blade was thrown another time in that derby onto the pitch. The little ones, a couple of them were thrown on.
Say what you will about that bloke, but to have to put up with that, that's ridiculous. And the fact that we consistently see it from this particular crowd in this fixture and others, it's to the point where why are the SPFL not stepping in and saying, look, if you can't guarantee the safety of your players, we'll fine you or we'll dock your points, and I mean, they'll never do that. Let's be honest. But yeah, we'll have, half crowds or no crowds. You can play behind closed doors. Like, we've got coaching staff on the sideline getting brocks and bottles and coins thrown at them, and Matt O'Reilly had the coin. And from what I understand, the main TV cameras, the Rangers CCTV, none of that picked up the bottle being thrown at Matt O'Reilly after he scored the penalty. That was one of the alternate angle cameras for Celtic TV that picked it up. So if that's not there, then fair dues. And we got lucky this time because some, as you said, vile Hun creature couldn't fucking throw straight. But if that hits Matt O'Reilly in the head, we're having a very different conversation. And we're not talking about a derby, or we're talking about why a game was ended because a player was smashed in the head with a glass bottle. Absolutely disgusting.
The dumb thing for me about it is this idiot's throwing a glass bottle into his goalkeeper's box. If that smashes and goes in there, like every time we take a shot, is the goalkeeper going to be like, oh, do I dive? Or am I going to get shredded by broken glass? It's actually more detrimental to them than it is to us. Like, so that's where it does, like, these people just have limited brain cells.
Was it last year with broken glass in Joe Hart's goal? Yeah. Exact same thing. You're 100% right. And I was a goalkeeper. That's going to be on your mind all day.
Also, the centre-backs will have the same thing there, Jared, as well, where they're going to be defending, running backwards and then having to quickly step forward, jump, going to be in the air. Oh, am I going to land on some broken glass? He come through the sole of my boot. Stuff like that as well. So,
it's like a quote from Any Given Sunday. The rain will fall on the just, and the just alike. Whatever you do to the pitch, you do to both teams. So, like, you're not helping anyone. Like, your team doesn't want you to do it. So, if you're a fan of that team, like, it just pisses me off.
Let's be honest. If you throw something on the football field, you're a dickhead. And I will not shut up about that.
Yeah, I don't care if you're a Celtic fan, Rangers fan, fucking Morton fan, any fan. Like, you just don't. It just don't do it. You just don't
let the Morton fans go nuts. They're fine. But
it's the extensive history list of the offences that's there for all the world to see. I mean, we've had a physio with scars, permanently scarred on the back of his head by being struck by a bottle in our dugout. You've had a fan who walked onto the pitch to confront Scott Brown, and he was marched off and just taken back to his seat. You had 700 Celtic fans in there for one game, and you had the Union Bears stashing weapons throughout the stadium. I mean, there's 47,000 against 700, and they feel the need that they have to stash weapons throughout the crowd. You had an away game at Dundee this season when a young girl was assaulted. These fans are just, they don't learn. And the problem is the SFA are scared of them and will not act on it. Now, we've seen today that the Rangers game was called off tonight, and within minutes of the game being called off, Rangers have a statement out. Still haven't seen a statement saying that we're sorry about all this actions that's happened at the weekend. They've gone absolutely silent on the matter. Like, they just hope they just bury their head in their sand and it'll go away. Because they got the moral victory, Willie. Don't you remember?
Oh, yeah. The 3-3 win. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It was a moral victory.
Was it a 3-3 win or a 3-3 loss for us? Like?
No, who knows?
Oh, a little from column A and a little from column B. And a little from the stands.
I just want to jump onto something there. Jared, you threw a little quote from Any Given Sunday in there. And when you said that, I'm like, please be this quote, please be this quote. The quote I've got here sums it up perfect. This is me directing it at their fans, the ones throwing the bottles. If you're going to act like a loser, you're going to be a loser, raise your hand. If you're going to act like a pussy, raise your hand. Seriously, that's what they are. You throw a bottle, you're a piece of shit. You're soft as butter. Yep. There's nothing hard about you at all.
Yes. LL Cool J.
Mm-hmm. There you go. He knows the quote. I was hoping you were going for that quote. Yeah, so...
All right, let's crack on.
I just want one last thing on it. I said early on I said earlier on with Dan where I want just play with empty stands. And the thing is, who's that going to affect? Because Rangers have sold those season tickets. If they're going to play with closed stands, it's not going to affect Rangers' bottom line. It's going to directly affect the people who sit in the crowd in that area. And then they'll start grassing at each other.
Huns will want their cash back because we saw it when their club died. They won't give cash up for nothing. So
it'll stop the people next to you throwing shit, and then maybe you won't have to get locked out.
And it's not about being a grass or being a dog or throwing anyone under the bus. It's saying you're a fucking idiot, and I'm not standing for that because it's ruining my experience and it's ruining the sport that I'm at.
Because what you tolerate, you're basically saying that you accept. That simple.
But you can't close the stands without the introduction of strict liability to Scottish football. You won't be able to close the stands.
Well, that was the next thing I wanted to ask you, Willie. Is strict liability the answer to the previous topic that we're just talking about?
Well, for me, it is. Scottish football is one of the only leagues in Europe, I think, that doesn't have one of the top 10 leagues in Europe that doesn't have strict liability. The Dutch league has it, the English league has it, German, French, Spanish, Italian, they all have strict liability. If you have any sort of racist conduct, any misconduct from the fans, any discrimination, and they have the right to fine you, they have the right to close certain sections of your stands. It works for them. But in Scottish football, there seems to be this sentiment that punishing the clubs for the actions of individuals undermines the collective spirit of the game and the fans that are in the stadium. But when all that's left for one club's fans is hatred, you're always going to have these incidents continuing. And without any sort of compelling reason to change the status quo, clubs may be reluctant to undertake such significant overhaul to the sort of governance structures. I don't know. It seems to me that Scottish football is desperate for this because it happens so regularly now. Hearts have had fans jump on the pitch and attack Neil Lennon. Scott Sinclair got a bottle thrown at him in Easter Road. I mean, there was Rangers players having bottles thrown at us at Tavernier, got close to getting hit by a bottle in Easter Road. So you really need this to come into the game here. And whether you turn around and say, well, do you know what? You're going to carry on doing that. We'll just shut down that stand there and you can just play in 3/4 of the stadium. And if you carry on doing it, we'll shut down another stand and you can play in half a stadium.
I think
for me, it is the answer. Like, you need to set it out in clear definitions of what constitutes punishable offences, what the strict liability is going to do, and what the punishments will be, and how you're going to enforce them, and what the potential sanctions are. I mean, you could turn around and say, look, you're throwing bottles on the pitch. Here's $100,000 fine for you. Okay, you've done it again. We're going to close the Copeland Road because you just can't behave. Do it again, we'll close the Broomland as well. And then if you carry on doing it, then it's a stadium closure. So it would work for me, but again, sorry, Dan. Just one final thing is that the SFA would have to act, and they're a bunch of cowards who wouldn't do it, so they want nothing to do with it to begin with. Like,
that's what I keep coming back to. The SFA is going to do jack shit. So I comfort myself by reminding myself that Rangers fans, Sevco fans have thrown more money at Celtic players and staff than they ever threw at their club when it died. So,
yeah.
All right, I'll bring up some comments here. So, Pete McGee's comment is, at least all the coins they've chucked at us will make a tidy sum for our charities. About the SFA thing, RL77 was, chaps, I think you'll find no bowling club in the world has strict liability, so why would the SFA? Strange Love the Doctor saying, easy, just ban Sevco the way it should have been. I say on the back of that, don't just ban them. If they want to play with all their buddies and everything, singing the Billy Boys and all that sort of shit, you know, there's a league over in the north of Ireland there where they'd fit right in with some of those clubs. So they can piss off over there for all I care. Michael Ross, in Holland, the game is abandoned for any object thrown on the pitch. And then Pete McGee's responded to that saying, can you imagine the meltdown if that happened? Andrew Galea saying, put up safety nets. Shouldn't have to put up safety nets, all things considered. People just behave. RL77's agreeing, close the Copeland, close the Broomland, close a lot of them. And Strange Love is saying bloody necromancy, if you ask me, and a bunch of zombies.
I don't agree with the Holland thing. Like, you abandon the game as soon as something's thrown on the ground. Like, because I don't trust Rangers fans. They'd go up 1-0 and then everyone would like start throwing shit on the ground, and then we'll get it's like, all right, it's finalized 1-0. Or the other way around,
No.
it's like, oh, if you start throwing stuff, then your team loses. Then you'll get freaking Rangers fans wearing Celtic tops going into the Celtic thing and start throwing things on the ground. Like, I just don't trust.
What they do over there, Jared, is they'll abandon the game that day, but then they'll pick it up the next day with no fans from the minute where it was. So if you're already 31 minutes in, they'll play out the rest of the game the following day with no crowd.
Well, that's terrible for the players.
You know?
It's not their fault.
Yep.
No good comes out of having Sevco in the comp. We have to remember that.
Yeah, 100%. Get rid.
All right, I'm going to play devil's avocado here.
Crack on.
Should be guacamole by now, mate. Holy hell.
I like having Rangers in the SFA because it's more fun to beat them than anyone else. It's not fun when you beat everyone else. It's fun when you beat Rangers. Not having them to beat, it's boring.
I actually a little bit different on that for the simple fact, I know what you're saying and I get what your point there, Jared, but for me, what I enjoyed the most when they died and, had to come up through the leagues and everything was that Aberdeen stepped up. Dundee United were playing their best for a long time. You'd play games like Hearts went down and came back up and they brought through a bunch of young players. So the competitiveness in all those other games was, in my opinion, was a lot higher than it is now. And on top of that, it was also, we had different rivals. Like we had a good rivalry for 2 or 3 years there in Rodgers' first stint with Aberdeen. So we had a rivalry with them. Yeah, we beat them all the time, but it was different. It was fresh. And then the style of play was something else. So I understand what you're saying, Jared, but I actually enjoyed, seeing other teams like 2nd through to 5th on the ladder every season was different.
Yeah. But when you look at the rest of the world, if I'm looking at the bigger picture, no one gives a shit about Celtic versus Aberdeen.
Yeah, no.
Where the SFA make money is Celtic versus Rangers. Like, it's the only thing they even freaking sell, which is one thing that's annoying. Like, we should have TV deals for all clubs, and every game should be televised somehow. I mean, we're in Australia. I don't know if anyone's watching in Scotland, but over here in Australia, we can tune in and watch any rugby league game, any AFL game, any football game, any sports games. We can tune in and watch. And it does my head in that the SFA is the number 1 sports league in Scotland and no one can watch any games. Living in Australia, that does my fucking head in. I don't get it.
I find it weird that we get access to all Celtic games every week where people who live in Scotland don't have that.
It's antiquated as fuck, let's be honest. But
Andrew Galea in the comments, I enjoy Scottish football, the league with the most Aussies outside the A-League. That's another thing in its favour. Matt Ryan to Celtic is saying, there it is.
Good old Blacktown boy.
So we touched on it earlier about, I just find it a picture again of Fabio Silva inspecting Dens Park yesterday. So the game Dundee versus Rangers was postponed for a second time due to pitch issues. So the thing I found funny was a bunch of memes, and there was one where it was like why the game was called off, and it's a wide shot, and both penalty spots are completely muddy. So there's how would Rangers know where to take their penalty from? So that was why it was called off. So that was a good one in my opinion. But I want to know, Dan, what is the best solution for this situation? So for me, obviously the Huns are going to be wanting the game awarded to them as a 3-0 win via forfeit if it doesn't go ahead. But there has to be better options available, like playing at a neutral venue if it happens. Now, the game's been delayed till next Wednesday. If it doesn't go ahead next Wednesday, then shit's going to kick off because the split has to happen and that game needs to be played by the split. So what's the best solution for you, Dan?
Well, we've already ruled out just kicking Sevco out again, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because ultimately that's my response. That's my solution to most of my problems in life. is just liquidating them all over again. The game's got to be played at some point. What's an unplayable pitch? We were having these inspections, and Motherwell were fine to play. The Rangers had the opportunity to play before the derby, but we all know the SFA wasn't going to make them play before they had to play us because it was going to be an issue for them. I mean, they've got to fucking play. Whether we spoke in the infamous group chat about the perfectly good pitch for the championship club, 100 yards up the road. And, you know, I even said if I was Dundee United, I'd be straight there going, get fucked. You're not using our pitch. Because saying that to your biggest rivals would be great. I reckon it would be really satisfying. But, I mean, whether they charge for it, whether they've taken a big chunk of this, the game's got to be played. And if it's in a bit of mud, it's in a bit of mud. I mean, they can get a little bit of the spray for Tavernier's penalty spot. Get the game played.
There's a comment from Andrew Galea, nothing wrong with a bit of mud, get on with it. And Pegleg is up to the knees in Dundee mud.
Also, one of the issues is this is now the 4th game in Dundee that has been postponed because the pitch wasn't in playable condition. Now, Dundee, it's like Willow was saying, people need to be fined for this sort of stuff. They've had to refund tickets, but they've just advertised £500 for season tickets for next year.
We're at a point
they've actually done.
We're at a point where Dundee have just posted losses of 2.5-3 million quid. They're skint. They can't afford to fix the pitch anymore. They're borrowing or renting covers from us. A fine does nothing, and it doesn't solve the ultimate problem. Yeah, you want it to act as a deterrent. I get that, but it doesn't solve the problem.
No.
Something I saw, and look, hold my hands up. I'm a socialist. Some people would probably say I'm a communist. But the one suggestion I saw, I think someone even rang up Clyde SSB and said it as well. A mutual fund, all the clubs are chipping in, and it's used to maintain all 12 pitches. Killy want to go away from their horrendous plastic pitch.
Yeah.
Livy are gone. Don't worry about it. But it suits Celtic and it suits Rangers for games to be able to be played at Dundee and to be played on a surface that's not horrendous. It would be peanuts. And yeah, I know I'm going to get called a commie bastard in the chat.
Shut up, you commie.
I took the sickle and hammer down before the show, but it suits us and it suits that lot to have pitches playable all around the country. And it'd cost us peanuts in the grand scheme of things. We're chasing a 60 million pot of. Celtic's a left-wing club, for Christ's sake.
No, it's kind of funny because we give Liam shit all the time on a Monday. Like I call him our comrade and our resident communist, and I'm, I got the Celtic Down Under t-shirts. I was thinking should do a Liam branded t-shirt and put it so instead of it being like hammer and sickle, the hammer with these samurai sword through it and comrade Liam on the shirt or something and sell it.
I'll buy one, 100%. I'm in. But at least it's a solution. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's something that we can go and say to a club like Dundee who have got sweet fuck all in the bank, we'll pay for your pitch. Just put a team on the field and we'll play some games.
What I think on that is okay, so the whole story, what I've looked into and seen is Dundee United Dundee's gone and hired Dundee United's head of their groundskeeper and everything to come across. So that's why they've told him to piss off. So that's part of it. The other thing is when he came in, there was a ground maintenance plan that he put forward and he sent to the CEO or the chairman or whatever, which he hadn't seen, and it's been with him for ages because it's been sitting in his junk folder. So that's how it's got to the state it's in. Yeah. So RF77.
So tin pot.
Nothing wrong with Red Star. That's all I have to say. That's my in-laws club.
Can we go up the comment above that where it's literally a compliment where I've been called bloody Frankie Boyle. I'll take that every day of the week.
Or this one.
Here comes the guillotine.
Yeah, is that the fifth Marks brother?
Pretty much. Dan Marks got him. So with this the way I look at it is there was a comment like, don't let them play at another stadium because then, Rangers fans will go and destroy some other third club's thing. If it was up to me, if we had Barrowfield all done up and it was set up and that's where when we were playing, I'd be like, just go and play behind closed doors at Barrowfield because then we're doing Dundee a favour and it's also given Rangers the big double barrel straight down the camera. So, yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. But, yeah, it's a bit of a doozy, really. It's tin pot.
Just get both captains. Esports is it's all with the kids.
Who's the Dundee captain? Do we know? Does anyone know? Probably some hard bastard, right?
Oh,
I'd say put him in a
still Lee Griffiths.
Put him in an octagon or a boxing ring with Tab and let him sort it out. Whoever walks out gets the 3 points. That'll do me.
Oh, does Butcher still play? Does Butcher play for Dundee, or am I thinking of someone else?
Or just let their gaffers go at it. Let their gaffers.
I know who my money's on if it's Gaffer on Gaffer.
Well, you got Baltimore, and who's the other one? Some little midget.
Yeah, but
I just want to see some.
Tommy Wright's quite a stocky looking guy. You know, that low centre of gravity. I don't know, right?
I think you take him down and ground and pound. There you go.
The old ground and pound.
Yep.
In Australia, it's called ground and dollar.
Jared,
if you go to the same brothels as I do,
you can't go. My age just come through. Ryan Edwards. There it is. My money's on him. Take Tab out.
They do also have Curtis Main. He's an absolute unit. Like, he's ripped. Like, if he started throwing hands,
it's the Hunger Games. Chuck a few in there.
Cantwell. Curtis Main versus Cantwell. I want to see that. I'll pay for that. 3 seconds.
Hold him back.
Big red. All right, boys. I'll get this shared. Thanks for the support. Appreciate it, mate.
Big red.
Yep. So,
it just
so
reminds me of
Jared, just for you.
Big Red it just reminds me of Talladega Nights. If you don't chew Big Red, fuck you.
Say that to my wife regularly.
He's only got 2 kids, mate. You got one and one on the way.
I'm so glad she's not home yet.
Hey, you got to realise something. It's on the internet, so the internet is forever.
Oh, she's not sitting through this, trust me.
Maybe you're 16.
That's behind the paywall, Jared.
We're in the Patreon episode now.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So VAR and the Aberdeen incident. You guys all see what happened in that. Makes the league look more tin pot than the situation up in
Just tossing coins.
And Dundee and everything like that. And yeah, so what I love is Aberdeen's gone through, and I've got an actual dot pointed point by point by point on the what's actually happened with Miovski's goal was disallowed. So apparently VAR wasn't working. They didn't know where to draw the lines, so they guessed, ruled out a goal, and yeah, so it was a 0-0 draw. Shit house. How tin pot does that look? Willie, what's your thoughts?
I just don't get it. I mean, if your tech fails, you revert to the on-field decision. You don't just, let's freeze this here. We'll get we rule it out on the screen. Oh, he looks offside. Yep, offside. I mean, it's just a joke. Like, you know what I mean? We see in our game at the weekend, you see the good and the bad of VAR where, like, Connor Goldson finally gets caught for a handball. You're like, VAR's starting to work. And then you get a penalty against us. But the Aberdeen game, that's just proved beyond all reasonable doubt that refs in Scotland are just winging it now. Like, you know what I mean? And they are making it up as they go along. You know what I mean? We've been saying this for months. And then this comes out and you're like, well, here's it in black and white now. They've actually admitted they're making it up as they go along. We don't know what's happening here. Like, we'll just make it happen. Penalty Rangers, like, that'll do. Like, yep, sounds about right.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that they guessed said no goal, and then after, when they were finally able to look at it, they were like, "Oh, it was no goal. We got it right. It's all good." It's like that's not the point. You still shouldn't be guessing these things. I'm sorry.
Clear and obvious error.
And you play to the whistle, and then you go to the VAR. VAR doesn't work, and you don't have 100% proof to overrule it. You've got two options. You let it go back to the referee's decision on the field, or because it's an interpretation thing, or I think it might be offside, but I don't have proof, call the ref over. He has to make the final decision. Look at the monitor and go, yeah, that's offside, or no, that's fine, in my opinion. And the goal stands. That's who should have been making the final decision off the monitor. But anyway, Mahesh has got something here. He got his Dundee's mixed up. It's Joe Shaughnessy's Dundee's captain. I'll be backing him in.
Yeah. I was scrolling through FootMob, and the only thing FootMob doesn't tell you is the captain on the main page, and I'm like, he's not even in the squad, mate. I don't know how he's captain, but okay, sure. I'm tripping out a little bit there, but we got there. Joe Shaughnessy, and fuck him up.
This is why the game. Sorry, go on, Jared.
I was going to say, the way VAR is going, like the way like people are offside and they don't put the flag up because they want to see what's happening. We're going to end up just playing a game. It's going to be like 4-4, and then it's like, all right, tune in 4 hours when we actually give you the real score once we've reviewed everything. It ends up 4-0 to Rangers.
We're talking about that the games have to be played before the split. And Patrick's come up with this. If Dundee beat Aberdeen on Saturday to seal 6 space, then technically they can play the postponed game at any point after the split, should it get called off again next week. Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying that. That's a little confusing. What's Big Red saying? Silver looked on the first one with AJ like he was JFK'd. God.
Tavernier on the grassy knoll.
Yeah. So now it was put in our group, I think for a laugh. Kieran Tierney will return to Celtic this off-season. Go on, Dan. You put it in there. I'm throwing you under the bus here.
He's not coming back. His transfer fee is worth more than the other 11 clubs in this league combined. He's not coming back. We've got to move on.
Who's talking about it? Everyone?
Every transfer window. Kieran, we won't rule it out. It's like, yeah, well, I'll rule it out because we're not going to fucking pay for him.
It's like the Paddy Roberts talk we had every one from when Rogers first started till basically the start of Ange's second year at the club. It's going to take a few years. Yeah.
I think I would prefer Josh Dodge over Tierney at the moment.
Same.
He's not in good form and he's always injured. Josh Dodge is just upward trajectory.
If we don't get him now, at this off-season, we're not going to be able to afford Dodge.
Then we can't afford him. Yeah.
All right. So on the weekend, Celtic versus St Mirren at Celtic Park. It's on Saturday, 3 p.m. I think over there. So it's midnight for us on the East Coast here in Australia. 2 a.m. on Sunday morning for you, Willie. It's going to be fun. So any particular matchups to watch out for? I just want to see who Bacchus kicks. Who's he going to kick first down midfield? Absolutely clutter. That's the one thing for me to look out for.
Is he playing? Because the last couple of games he hasn't played.
Maybe he got injured.
I actually tried to look that up before we logged in, but when I looked it up, he didn't play the last couple of games.
He played 45 minutes last week, man.
In the second half?
Let me clarify for you. It's got him down as 45 minutes against Hearts.
Yeah, it must. Against Hearts.
Timeline, here we go.
Yeah, it came on for the second half.
He came off the bench. Yeah.
Come on for Quan.
Well, he must be back because the game before that he didn't play at all. So he must have just been coming back. And obviously Quan, their best player, won't be playing against us.
In the last 5 games against St Mirren, Celtic 4 wins and 1 draw. So that's at Celtic Park. So it should be an interesting one. Any particular matchups you boys are thinking about? Otherwise, give us your starting lineup, Willie, and a score prediction.
I think they've got a pretty physical front line with Manron or Lasunia, so our defenders will have their hands full most of the game. but I think we'll break them down, and I'm hoping we'll break them down quite early and rack up a few goals. So for me, it's a case of starting with the same back five: Hart, Johnson, CCV, Scales, and Taylor. I would go with Iwata, O'Reilly, and Hatate in midfield. Kuhn, Maeda, and Kyogo up front. I would give Hatate 60 minutes and then bring Bernardo on, and then I would give Calmack half an hour as well, possibly, just to try and get some more minutes into his legs. So it might be a case of just bringing O'Reilly off, just to keep things ticking over and keep the fitness levels there. So I think we'll win 4-0 and Kyogo will open the scoring early. I hope we get a few more goals than that, but I can't see it.
I'll just bring up some comments before we go to you, Jared. So Andrew's saying, does McGregor start? Willie's just said he'll come off the bench for him. Pegleg saying McGregor won't start until after the split. RL70 saying that he met Dan's brother Skid. You know, because he's Dan Marks, so Skid Marks, if you're not paying attention. Dan's walked off in disgust at that joke, RL77. What have you done, mate? But Jared, what's your starting lineup and score prediction?
Starting lineup, unfortunately, the back five is going to be the same. Hart, Johnson, Taylor, CCV, and Scales, which I really want Narovsky to actually have a chance to play there. Hopefully, at least he comes off the bench to have a chance. The midfield, I'm going to go with the same as what we went with. Hatate, O'Reilly, and Iwata. I don't think McGregor should start. I agree. Maybe keep him off until after the break. Or don't play him in this game at all and just give him a couple of weeks of training before we put him back in. And up front, Maeda, I would like to see Palma come off the bench, and now that he's back from injury in the second half, see what he can do. Because I realized today we've completely forgot about Palma. We're all talking about how fantastic this kid was, and then his attitude kind of went to shit. But now he hasn't played for a while. I'd like to see if he could come back in and use the skill without the ego. That would be good. Kyogo, and on the left-hand side, we have Nicholas Kuhn, who currently has a 80% shooting accuracy, 100% goals inside the box. He's had 2 shots from inside the box, 2 goals from inside the box, and a 50% dribbling accuracy, because I think he really messed it up the first couple of games, but he has only started in 6, and I think the last 4 games is where he's got most of those stats.
So I'll just bring up a couple more comments here before we go to Comrade Dan down in the bottom corner. But we've got Patrick McLaughlin saying 5-0 Celtic statement time. Strange Love was saying Comrade. Big Red saying we should have maybe have had a bounce game on Tuesday for Calmack, but he might be coming back and playing through the pain. Yeah, I don't think that we'll do that because, he's there. And then we got just keep Calmack for the semi-final versus Aberdeen. Andrew Galea is saying it's got to be the starting 11 from the derby. Big Red saying Palmer doesn't track back and makes Taylor look worse than what people think, which is unfair. The thing with Palmer is where his season went off the cliff, Jared, it wasn't that he ego or whatever. It was that he grew a weird moustache and stopped wearing his black boots that made him look slow. As soon as he changed to colourful boots and got that moustache, he was just terrible. And he got hurt.
Look, I'm not going to go all Kuhn like I did with Kuhn, but Palmer, I think, Palmer is his own worst enemy. He doesn't track back. He doesn't do little bits and pieces, but he's got the skill that he could do all those things. And if he did, he'd be phenomenal. He just needs to pull his freaking hat out of his ass like Dan just
Pull the socks up. There you go. Comrade, what's your starting lineup and your score prediction?
Starting lineup is
Your mic's way up here, mate, above your head.
Here. I'm trying to work out a new thing here, so you're gonna have to bear with me. All right, let's fuck that off and be serious for a minute.
Just put it on top of you.
Yeah, I was trying. I should have worked that out on the way in, shouldn't I? There we
That'll
go.
do.
That looks perfect. Just how the chairman meant. starting 11 has got to be the exact same as the derby for me. It's the best 45 minutes we've played all season, as Andrew said. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't risk Calmac. I'm quite happy to put him in cotton wool until he's 100% ready to go. I'm not overly fussed on Palmer, but, he's there. We're going to use him at some point. I don't mind having him involved, but for me, I don't mind the idea of Kun on the right and Mader on the left. I thought Yang sort of shat the bed a little bit in the derby, but outside that bigger stage, he's been all right. So I'm not going to throw him out entirely. I like the left side of St Mirren, particularly the lad Scott Tanza. They sort of use him as a bit of a left back, left winger. He gets forward. He wins a lot of the aerial duels as well. So I'm not sure how much joy we'll have sort of going down that side of the pitch. But no, overall, apart from that and the physicality of the front three, I think, which one of you guys already said, Kilty and Olasanya with Mandron up front, there's certainly some physicality there, but this has got to be a game we win, and it's got to be a game we win reasonably comfortably. I'm going to say it's a 3-0. I think it's a good enough job. If you want me to pick our starting 11, look, as I said, I've gone with that. I'm a big fan of the left winger. I was just about to make that joke, and then I saw it anyway. As long as we're on the left wing, I think we're fine. And now that Dazen's not bald, I quite like the lads. So,
Just don't like bald people, do you?
Nah, I've got a thing against the baldies, to be honest. 3-0 to us. I'm saying Hatate, Furuhashi, and Ida. 3 goals.
I have a question, Dan. Did you like Bobo, though?
Boo, 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 boo. Bobo Balde. Yeah, he was all right.
Just had to say it because, the lack of hair and also that he's baldy would mean he'd probably come and get you. Bobo's gonna kill you.
No, I'm a big fan of the baldies. Brownie's not one anymore, is he? But Dan, assistant manager with Lennon. I'm in. I'll do it. Me and Lenny, we're on.
Fair enough. Have fun with that. So for me, I'll go the same starting lineup as the weekend just gone. Score prediction, we're going to have a 5-1 because they just have to. We just have to concede one. The refs going to be dodgy as per usual. They'll pluck some random VAR thing out their arsehole and, make it happen. So, yeah, 5-1. So, final thought for tonight's pod. Willie, you have one ready?
Yeah. Just a big shout out to Liam. Sorry for your loss. Never easy losing a parent, as it's been 2 years since my dad passed away from motor neurons disease. And a year ago, I said that if your parents are still alive, that you should reach out and give them a phone call, because some of us can't do that anymore. And it's one of the most difficult things you can go through. So if your parents are alive, just give them a phone call, tell them you love them, call them I can't. Just reach out and speak to them.
Love you, Liam, and pass on our best wishes to your family. Top fella. Jared, final thought?
Oh, you're going to make me follow that?
No, I'll follow it if you want. I'll follow it for you then.
Pick up the mood, funny man.
We'll leave Jared to last then. All I want to say is Joey Barton, in some bizarre diatribe towards Greg Taylor, has said if he ever saw him, he would give him a slap. Greg Taylor's a fiery little bastard, and my money would be on him every day of the week.
Yeah, the same Joey Barton who played 5 games, lost 4 of them up here, and shat the bed and ran home.
And hid him in his pocket the rest of his career. Yep. Communist Dan.
It was a few weeks ago, my final thought was about the importance of parking your car correctly and appropriately and not impinging on others. Today, I want to talk about following through. If you believe in something passionately, get business cards made that you can leave on people's car when they do park poorly.
I've seen them.
With a link to how to park a car. It's not offensive. It's learn to park. It looks like you accidentally parked like an asshole. I'm not assuming negligence or ill intent on that part. I'm just assuming a mistake's been made. Just learn how to park a car. I live in Sydney where parking is atrocious. And when you're parking in the middle of lines or there's enough room for 3 cars and you park right in the middle of 2 would-be spots, you're a dickhead. It's not the communist way. The communist way, it's our car park, brother, not yours. So if you see one of these on your windscreen, it probably came from me. Fair warning, I can't fight, but we'll give it a scrap. So, and revolution.
Over to you, Jared, to finish the show.
Right. Well, I'm glad when he said following through, he went with parking and not sharding.
That's
But
where I thought it was going.
my final thought is, as you know, I do stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I watch most of the Netflix specials and Amazon specials, everything that's come out in the last week. One of the greatest I have ever seen came out, and I wanted to let everyone know. Dimitri Martin, Deconstructed. If you've got nothing to do this weekend and you want to watch an hour of stand-up that is absolutely freaking brilliant, check out Dimitri Martin, Deconstructed. One of the best I've ever seen. It's genius.
Cool. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it. I'm on the Celts on the weekend. Hail, hail.
Hello.
Yeah, hell.